to belong. We all want to be heard. We all want to be free. Want to feel safe, kept far from the hurt. We all want to belong. Be a part of a spark. We all want to be free. Want to feel safe, kept far from the dark. All we want is love.
My name is Ivy DoomKitty. Hello. And I have my awesome fellow cosplay ladies here. Alexa Hart. Hello. And Ani Mia. Everyone, give them a round of applause. So, what we're going to be going over is the panel title, So They Say You Shouldn't Cosplay. And the point of the panel is to discuss all of those little things that people really don't like to bring to light, like, you know, your body image, cosplaying, regardless of your body image, your size, your weight, regardless of what spectrum that you're in, age, gender, cosplay rule 63, cosplaying with disabilities, skin tone, you know, so all those little things that people tend to either frown upon here or there, or, you know, throw their little opinions. We're going to talk about all those things and how hopefully you guys can also get past those and cosplay. So, out of curiosity, how many of you currently cosplay? Okay. How many of you have thought about cosplaying but haven't done so just yet? Okay. How many of you have thought about cosplay, haven't done so just yet because you're worried about what everyone else is going to say about you? Okay. Okay. Very cool. So, one of the very first topics we're going to go over, oh, and by the way, that we will have a Q&A, time permitting, at the end of the panel. So, you know, as the panel goes on, if you have any questions you can think of, by all means, let us know. We'll definitely get those addressed. If there's an experience that you've had that you want to share, also, you know, feel free to, you know, come up and say something. The panel is meant to be very interactive with everybody. So we're going to go ahead and start with how you guys got started in cosplay. So yeah, how did you begin cosplaying?
Well, I mean, I've always been interested in geek stuff. Like, I remember being 2 years old and having, like, my Knight Rider, like, tank top that I used to wear to bed. So I was always raised on this stuff, but I didn't know conventions existed. And, you know, when I was growing up, it was one of those things, like, I ate lunch alone in the library, you know, where everyone played Doom and read my, like, fantasy books. And it wasn't until, like, 2007 one of my friends was like, do you want to come to an anime convention? I was like, do you have those? And I went to a convention and I saw people cosplaying and everyone looked like they were having so much fun. And I love dressing up and I love these characters and I'm like, this is so much fun. You get to be this character for an entire day and you can just be whoever you want. And I got kind of hooked on it, on the idea. And so I bought my first costume off the internet. It was like 3 sizes too big. It looked horrible. My wig was shiny. I didn't know anything about cosplaying. I just kind of threw everything together. And I went to the convention and I had a lot of fun, but then I was kind of like, you know what, I want to get better at this. I want to make these look really cool. And it became one of those things where it's like I started doing it and I just got addicted. And I haven't stopped cosplaying since, and I don't think I'm ever going to. I'll be like 70 years old in cosplaying, so that's kind of how I got started.
What about you, Alexa?
I kind of fell into it because by my voice you can tell that I'm not shaped like most girls. So I started piecing together costumes, and a few years ago I found out about conventions, and all of a sudden I was like, oh, hey look, it's my fan, thank you. I literally ran in from the parking lot, you guys. Parking is a nightmare. But I started piecing together costumes, and then I found out about conventions. Went to my first convention, and I was like, look at all these nerdy people. I love all of these people. I thought I was the only person that fell asleep watching Star Trek, but I wasn't. So I started going to more and more conventions, much to the chagrin of my lovely Elsa back there. She's super supportive by you guys. It's awesome. But I started going to more and more conventions, and I realized that I really did love putting on a costume and being a character. And you guys will hear more about it later, but I kind of don't care about what people think. But we can talk about that more in depth later. Yes.
You feel a lot cooler now.
Oh, thank you.
You're so welcome. I started cosplaying back at, well, first time cosplayed was San Diego 2012 as my Star Trek red shirt, which was, anyone here familiar with Frank Cho? You back there, awesome, okay. Someone did. He's a comic book artist for Marvel. He also does a lot of independent projects, of which one was a comic strip by the name of Liberty Meadows. And he drew his main character, Brandy, dressed up as a original series red shirt. So I asked him if I could cosplay his character, who was also cosplaying another character. And you know, I made the costume. First time I made a costume, first time I walked on the con floor, and had an absolute blast. It was a lot of fun, and after that, just went really crazy and overboard with the costumes, and been doing it since. But yeah, in terms of how long I've been doing it, it's a really short period of time, but I'm having a ton of fun. And I'll go into a lot more of that in just a moment. So one thing I did want to go over was, well, first the cover, body image and body type, as well as how, if either of you have had any kind of experiences or personal hurdles or cosplay related hurdles in the community that you've had to overcome. You know, anything negative that you've had to overcome pertaining to body image, body type, and if so, how did you get through that? How did you overcome that? What advice could you give to the audience? Yeah.
Believe it or not, when I was growing up, I was a much bigger girl. I was about 175 pounds. And I was always very self-conscious of my weight. And, you know, I spent a lot of time thinking, okay, well, if I lose all this weight, I'll be happy. And I lost all the weight, and, you know, I realized that I still wasn't happy because it had nothing to do with the outside. It's how I felt about myself. And so in cosplay, you know, I'm always still self-conscious when I put myself out there because, you know, when you're putting yourself out on the internet especially, it's not just to the cosplay community, it's not just to people who understand, it's kind of everywhere. And so, you know, I started still getting these comments of, oh, okay, well, you know, when I was chubbier, it was like, oh, okay, well, she's chubby, but then I lost the weight, and then it was like, oh, now you're too skinny, and it's like, you know, I suddenly realized you can never make everyone happy. You really can't. And so for me, in terms of body image, I just realized that I had to be comfortable in my own skin, and my own terms of what I felt I wanted to, you know, what made me pretty. There's no exact weight. There's no exact size. It's all about having that self-confidence in yourself. I don't want to like go further into one of my. Well, should I do the Supergirl thing? Okay, we'll get to that one in a minute. But yeah, I just realized that, you know, body image is all about yourself and how comfortable you are, and it has nothing to do with how people perceive you or, you know, what they think about you. It's all about how happy you are with yourself. Because no matter how much you change for other people, unless you're happy with yourself, you're not going to be happy in the long run.
Very true. What about you, Alexa?
So, doing what I do, a few years ago, I decided, I'm a huge Rachel Lee Cook fan, and I love Josie and the Pussycats. I pieced together, this was actually a long time ago, pieced together a Josie costume. If you guys have ever seen the movie, she's leopard print and ridiculous. And I went to a comic book shop, and the second that I walked in, everybody was excited. Then somebody asked me who I was, and I told them my name, and the very first person screamed, "It's a trap!" And if you guys know the popular internet thing before that, it was pretty hurtful because there was no way that I was going in to be a trap for anybody. I was cosplaying my favorite character at the time. So I left because I heard the echo through the entire comic book shop. And I didn't put on a costume for a long time after that. And it wasn't really until I fell in love with Catwoman from Dark Knight Rises and started getting into conventions that I started doing costuming again. But with some awesome support from some awesome people, I realized that those kind of people are very few and far between. The mean people that are gonna say something, but they are hurtful. You just can't pay attention to them.